Welcome back, everyone. We're Simply Bitcoin. This is the weekend recap. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the websites by plebs. Joining us today is a fellow pleb and Bitcoiner and memer and the Grand Pumbaa of the Meme Factory podcast. That's right. Greg Zaj is joining us once again. But we are diving into the numbers. Let's do it.
Number time! Number time is brought to you by Bitcoin 2022. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference ever, hosted in sunny Miami Beach, Florida. President Bukele himself is going to make a special announcement. You can take advantage of the link down below for 10% off your tickets to Bitcoin 2022.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 717,921. The Bitcoin price is 42,340. Chain rewrite days 752. Total public Lightning capacity, that looks like a new all-time high possibly, or pretty close to it, but 3,323.7. Moscow time, 2362, and blocks to the halvening, 122,079. The numbers, Nico.
Boring.
The numbers.
Man, this whole cycle is just taking the life force out of me.
I thought I was going to get the stack below 40K.
It was just beating the crap out of my hopes, my dreams, my desires.
Right.
I'm just beating them down.
There's a pattern here.
Into a pulp. Expectations are dangerous things in Bitcoin. But it's a good time to stack sats. Anyways, Greg Zag, how have these prices made you feel?
I fucking love when the number goes down for a little bit. Are you kidding me? All the shitcoiners go away. How many shitcoiners you see on Twitter right now? They're gone. Bye, Felicia. And I get the cheap stack cheap sats. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Spoken like a true Bitcoiner right there. But you must be just as bored as I am. Bitcoin Twitter starts to cannibalize itself and starts, beating each other up.
Yeah, man, we definitely do some infighting, but that's just when you sharpen your sword. Because other Bitcoiners have sharp tongues, right? They're the ones that are really, really thinking hard and making good points. So if you're arguing with them, you're making your arguments and their arguments sharper. This is the time we get stronger.
Wow, that's very good answers. That made me feel good inside.
Did it?
Yeah, it tickled.
Yeah, good. Get that tickle up in you.
You're freaking Nico out.
I think we're freaking Phil out.
No, I think we're freaking Phil.
Yeah, I think we're freaking Phil out.
This is how Greg and I talk.
Yeah,
oh,
Phil.
Okay.
Hey, Phil. Are you freaked out?
That was an interesting effect you got going on there, though.
Thank you. It's the only effect I have.
Don't worry, I have no effects. Every effect I have, Nico does. So
yeah. Okay,
if there is a Phil effect, it's Nico who's created it. So
Phil effect sounds like something that happens at a construction site, right? Like, don't dump it there because the Phil effect, and everybody's like, "Oh shit!"
You don't want the Phil effect.
You don't want the Phil effect.
Okay, so Greg, let me ask you something. How did you have expectations for 2021? Were you one of those people on the boat that were expecting 100K Bitcoin by December?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. And my favorite meme about this topic in general is Labrahodl's one. Did you guys see it?
No, but please send it to me so I could pop it
All right. So Labrahodl at the end of the year drops this meme. It's a scene from Top Gun. At the top, it says, when you called that 100K price target by the end of the year, and then it's Tom Cruise going, I was inverted. It is so fucking... It just nailed the feeling. I was like, yep. Oh, apparently I was inverted.
Please send it to us so I can show everybody. But yeah, man, it's definitely a big giant... 2021 was the year of the giant blue ball. And everyone was freaking wrong. But anyways, Phil, you actually put something in the chat.
Yes.
Some signal by Alex Gladstein himself. He's going to come on the show next month, actually. Congratulations to Alex, by the way.
Oh, you're putting it up. Okay, cool.
If you know, you know. Anyways, just check it out. Alex Gladstein, Volcano and Lightning. Not just Lightning, Volcano and Lightning. Anyways, at the end of the 50 BTC block subsidy era, there was 50% of Bitcoin left to be mined. At the end of today's 6.25 BTC block subsidy era, there will be 6.25% Bitcoin left to be mined, and on and on. Just a neat detail, but hadn't connected the dots before. That's absolutely crazy. I had no idea that happened.
Nope, me neither.
So
I thought that was the coolest thing.
At the end of every subsidy, so the next one is half of this, so 3.1 something. That's how much Bitcoin's going to be. That's absolutely crazy. That in 4 years, there's only 3% more Bitcoin left to be mined. Absolutely insane.
Feels like a fractal, right?
Maybe.
3.125.
There you go.
5. Is it one
But
of
look,
those?
I mean, that is pretty cool, though, right? Like, we keep learning about all these different, these kind of little nuance, I don't know, like pieces of, I don't even know what to call it, but it's like pieces of the puzzle, right? It kind of reminds me of Ready Player One, and it kind of reminds me of that whole, like them figuring out the clues to get to the key.
Dude, I feel like every 6 months or so at this point, somebody's dropping a new framework on like what Bitcoin is and what's happening inside Bitcoin. I get my mind blown like regularly every 6 months. It's fantastic.
I feel like Satoshi's just sitting back, smoking a blunt. It's like,
Exactly.
Still alive?
in heaven.
Knows.
No one knows. Only he or she knows.
It's like they
Or them,
figured
or them.
Or them.
they
Or
figured
it.
It's like they figured that out. Bro, I don't know, man.
There's so much more to get to.
Barely scratch the surface.
Exactly. Stupid monkeys.
Well, like, it reminds me of kind of like Mario, where you're like on like world 1, level 3, and there's like 50 freaking worlds, so you barely even scratch the surface.
It's true, man. Anyways, that was a good number section. You guys learned something new, right? Which is every halving. At the end of that halving, that is the amount of Bitcoin left to mine. Really interesting stuff. He's fucking with us all the time. Every day we discover something new. But anyways, Phil, it's time for the Daily Fail.
The Daily Fail is brought to you by Amber App. Check them out. Amber.app. You can buy the Schiff. That's right. Every single time Peter Schiff makes a ridiculous tweet, you can stack that. It's a Bitcoin stacking app by actual toxic Bitcoiners. The link is down below. You know what, Yellow? You're always calling Greg a potato. Maybe you're the potato.
No!
Wait a second.
Greg is a potato.
What the fuck?
Amber, the smart way to stack sats.
Malaka!
All right, before we dive into the Daily Fail, we're going to just provide a short disclaimer. Here at Simply Bitcoin, you've come to expect a certain type of quality of reporting that we do. And I just need to preface, or preface, as Nico likes to say, I just need to preface this first fail with this. Okay, here we go. ICO Sonat tagged us in this fail. That's right. You don't know what this is yet because it doesn't make any sense. And unfortunately, we can't see the whole title of what it is. So let's take a look. A reality star who says she made $200K from selling her farts in mason jars is pivoting to selling them as NFTs. Now, before anyone complains and goes, why are you reporting this? I might add that we had 3 plebs that tagged us in this. So this was something that people wanted us to report on as a fail. Okay, I want to point that out. This is not just my mental concoction. There's a few of us.
Wait. I have a question, though. Look at
Hold
that
on,
picture.
wait.
What is in that jar? What is in the...
Is it a rose petal? Is it a doo-doo? Is it cinnamon? Is it a
I think it's
jalapeno?
turds.
You think it's turds?
I totally think it's turds. I mean, take a look in the background down here. I mean, this looks like turds, right?
How many turds do you think you need to sell to get to 200 grand? Did it say what she was selling them each for?
They sell for 0.05 ETH.
Well, that's what the NFTs are going for. What did the original turds in the jars go for? Like, how many did she have to make? How many jars was she squeezing her own dookie into to make these?
They didn't really explain it. But one thing I found really interesting was this, right? After the hospital visit, doctors told her that excessive windbreaking was taking a toll on her body. So she pivoted to selling the farts, the fart jars, as NFTs. So now
She was concerned.
it's just virtual farts.
She was concerned for her physical well-being. It's just another example of the blockchain saving people. You know, it's just the blockchain saving people from being hurt.
How are they storing those farts in the blockchain?
The same way they store diamonds, bro.
With crypto. They're storing them with crypto on the blockchain in the cloud, and it's decentralized.
Yeah.
It's fully decentralized.
Is this the NFT shitcoin top, or do we get?
Of course
Because
not.
I mean, at this point,
of course it's not. The NFT top will come a couple of months after the Bitcoin top. We're not there yet. This is not peak NFT bullshit.
What else can we put on the blockchain? All right,
Don't ask. You're gonna find out.
Guys. So look, there you have it. Bottling farts and now selling virtual farts to geniuses online. So yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one. Yeah, don't worry. This whole weekend was filled with absolute trash. Okay. All right. So here we go. This is a tweet from Zach Vol. Okay. And he goes, I'm effing chugging on my beer, LMFAO. And this is a tweet from Ben Armstrong, right? Who's BitBoy Crypto, who we've shown you in the past, gets paid thousands of dollars to shill, garbage projects. Anyways, so here we go. His tweet was, are you interested in Bitcoin right now with the, the question mark? And take a look at what he's citing. Bitcoin open interest matches record high amid predictions of BTC price fireworks this month. And this is the best part of this. Will Clemente, who's often featured on Pomp, he's one of the analysts. He goes, "Sir, this is not what open interest means." For somebody with millions of followers to retweet this and think they're making sense,
it's brutal.
It's absolutely brutal. And hold on, let me just. All right, so. Not everybody knows what open interest means, and this is kind of what makes it even funnier because BitBoy could have done this for 10 seconds and probably saved himself a ridiculous-looking tweet. Open interest is the number of option contracts that exist for a particular stock. In this case, for Bitcoin derivatives, okay? High open interest for a given option contract means a lot of people are interested in that option. So it means that there's a lot of people interested in Bitcoin. That's what open interest means. So it's pretty sad and pathetic that, he goes and tweets that. And then, of course, Will had to, totally ratio him with that response.
But Phil.
Yes.
Doesn't he have a Lambo?
You know what? He does have a Lambo and I do not.
Doesn't that mean he knows what this stuff means?
He must.
Lambos, and I think he also has khakis.
Yeah.
Lambos and khakis, all right.
Right. Right at home in Silicon Valley with all the other VCs. Lambos and khakis, right?
Hey, listen, for $25,000, let me tell you about a project.
Tell me.
You know what? Let me tell you about a project.
Yeah? We got a rug pull?
We don't have a rug pull yet, but we have something that I'm hoping Nico's going to be able to help us with because Nico knows a little something about real estate and I do not. Okay. So we are going to dive into this last fail. I don't really know what this is, but this is just kind of a weird token, okay? And I don't understand why it exists. And it's called the ethical token, okay? And they keep using this term DCOM, which stands for decentralized common sense. But what exactly do they mean by that? So I had to dive into this, okay? And check this out. Okay, so look, I haven't seen real estate shitcoins since 2018. I thought that everybody figured out that holding a token doesn't mean you actually own the property, but apparently some people still need to get rug pulled for them to understand. So let's dive into this, and keep in mind, this is the main website for this token. Like, take a look at this. It honestly looks like something I would have made. And believe me, that doesn't say much. Okay, DCOM stands for decentralized common sense. Traditional mortgage finance employs a whole set of rules and guidelines. All right, so we're getting into real estate. So somehow we're going to tokenize real estate, but this is tokenized real estate for people that can't actually afford real estate. This is going to sound very familiar to you. Something that happened in 2008. It like the mortgage crisis, where subprime mortgages were packaged as CDs or as loans to then be sold as investments. So somehow somebody figured out, let's do this on the blockchain. So here we go. So they explain, okay, how these companies have guidelines, right, that won't allow you to get a mortgage if you don't have enough money to put down. Okay, so this, of course, doesn't bode well for many consumers, and they're not able to meet these strict requirements, which leads to the predatory opportunists that offer very expensive rent-to-own programs that appeal to the home ownership goals of a consumer. Now, let me tell you something. If you've ever bought a house, you understand the amount of paperwork that you've gone through. Okay, this is for a reason. Right? The city has to know you own the house. The banks have to know. There's a whole lot of red tape that goes around. It can't be replaced with just holding a token. Okay? So check this out. So they figured out how to solve this for people that can't afford to have a home, but want to have a home. Using our philosophy of decentralized common sense, DCOM, we would be able to offer an affordable rent-to-own program, saving the customer $150 a month in rent payments, allowing them to acquire a home. I don't see how that helps anyways. Whether it's a single family home or with a yard or a condo with no maintenance. And they'd be able to choose participation in the appreciation of the real estate or the appreciation of the IAGA token. That's right. Really, at the end of the day, there is a token here, which is given to them as a grant to help them subsidize their rent payment. The IJA token is a utility token that can be traded for such things as Tesla solar roof or a kitchen remodel, or can be sold on the open market as the tenant wishes. And whatever the tenant decided to do with the IJA token does not affect their purchase of property. That's right. Everything I just read to you made absolutely no sense. Okay? Why is somebody going to accept this token? And why does it help you get a house, get a mortgage? That's not how this works. Listen, you want to get a mortgage? The best way to do it is to save up for a down payment. You don't need a shitcoin for this. Okay?
Well, you do.
Well, yeah, okay, no, to Greg's point, you do need a shitcoin. You need the USD shitcoin.
Yeah.
But you don't need this shitcoin to do it.
Yeah, there don't need to be a second shitcoin to do it.
Right. We just need one.
Yeah, just the one.
Just overcomplicates things.
So,
Yeah.
so Nico, tell me something. You know more about real estate than I do. I mean, is this garbage even feasible?
Fuck no.
That's your professional opinion.
No. What is this for? I don't even know what it's for. I don't even know how it's supposed to help you. Where is $150 going to come from? And let me tell you something. $150 is nothing. It's nothing. Maybe for rent, maybe, depends on the city that you live in. But Miami, average rent? $2,500, $33,000? With all the money printing, probably even higher nowadays. $150 for what? And where do you get the token? And who gives you this? There's so many questions. But I just want to summarize all the fails that we had today. We had farts in a jar that became digital. We had digital mortgage fraud. And we had...
named ethical token.
Yeah, that's when it makes sense.
Part.
That's when it makes sense. And what was the other one? I forget. It was ridiculous. Oh,
it was
BitBoy crypto not understanding what open interest is. Wow, gotta love the shitcoin space. Yeah, dude, this feels toppy. Greg, this feels toppy. This is more ridiculous than the ICO boom, bro. I'm telling you.
Look, the toppiness and the ridiculousness. It rises at the same amount. Bitcoin, so it's an exponential gain. Humans aren't good. It's Jeff Booth all the time, man. Humans aren't good at thinking about how exponentials work. You think you saw peak ridiculousness in 2018? No. It's going to be worse this time. We're halfway through, man. We're only halfway through. We're going to get further.
So Greg doesn't think we're frothy yet.
No, dude, I don't think...
Okay.
We haven't reached the mania phase. I completely agree. But, dude, if this is just halfway through... Holy crap, what is going to be on the top?
What happens 4 years from now? What happens in the next cycle?
What is...
nation-state shitcoins be like, oh, Venezuela token is going to save the entire South American continent.
But you know what? Gigi made a great point when he came on our show. He was explaining how like the scammers are just getting like, essentially what's happening is the scams are getting dumber and dumber because people just don't have like when I remember when I first got in, there were full white papers. There was massive communities built. I mean, this was a mega scam put together, you know, with like tons of work. Like now it's,
as you come up against
in a jar on
as
the
Bitcoin,
blockchain.
as Bitcoin comes up against bigger and bigger enemies, these are the people that have to sell snake oil in the dumbest way possible. So the scams get dumber and bigger as you get further along, and it's just more ridiculous, right? By the time we're going up against the banks and nation states, you know, it's going to be so ridiculous. You're going to be like, what the fuck are they saying? You're going to save the climate by making that token?
They're already doing that.
What's self-defense token stops pirates? Like, I mean, it's going to be that type of shit.
I just can't. I'm so bullish on North Korea. Like, they're going to come up with something amazing.
Oh, it's going to be so funny.
North Korea token, like Kim Jong token. I don't know what they're going to come up with, but hey, definitely stay tuned to Simply Bitcoin because we're going to cover it. And the more ridiculous there on very ridiculous episodes like today, we're going to bring Greg Zag because he is our ridiculousness correspondent. Yeah. Whoop, whoop. Anyways, Phil, it's time for the Daily Meme Review. The Daily Meme Review is brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine, stories, articles, things by savage, toxic Bitcoiners. And it's scarce. There's only 1,000 copies made per volume. Get your print of Citadel 21 today. First meme is brought to us by our Simply Bitcoin in-house meme dealer. What? Winicus.
You heard him. He's a ween dealer.
Ween dealer. Okay, anyways. The US dollar.
That's not going away.
Nothing. Bitcoin hodlers. Absolutely hilarious by the ween dealer. Anyways, moving on to the next one. This is Bitcoin is saving. Fiat is mass formation psychosis. And, you know, he's making fun of the Twitter fact checkers. The dollar is backed by the good faith of the credit of the United States federal government. Look, it's Steve Hanke. That's Steve Hanke right there. Okay, anyways, moving on to the next one.
You can tell because he looks the same.
Yeah, exactly. Me after buying $7 worth of Bitcoin. Sovereignty isn't just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. Okay.
Very well done.
Very well done.
The King of Eternia, come on, for the Gen Xers out there.
I don't know who that is. Okay, what day is it today, asked Pooh. You mean Xi Jinping? It's the day we burned this motherfucking slavery matrix down to the ground, squealed Piglet. My favorite day, said Pooh. No, it's definitely not Xi Jinping.
Definitely not Xi.
All right, moving on to the next one. We got it from Bitcoin Wojak, stacking sats, me, whales dumping. Absolutely hilarious. Wow, for those very special memes, I'm going to give a very special score of, you know when you buy shoes and they have these things in there so that the shoe doesn't get all scrunched up? I'm going to give it a shoe non-scruncher squeezer upper thing. What about you, Greg, and then Phil?
All right. One rating for all of them?
You can do whatever you want, really.
All right. I'm going to give it 5 1/4 inches.
5 1/4, huh?
5 1/4 inches. That's what it's getting.
5 1/4. Okay. All right, Phil, what about you? What would you give those memes?
I'm suspicious of Greg's score.
I was thinking the same thing. I just didn't want to say anything.
Well, just leave it up to the guy with no shame and no brain. Okay, I've got an empty 100 grand wrapper. That's right.
Oh, that's
Purple
how I feel.
Punch does the trick. Okay.
Okay. Good scores. Good scores. We got a suspicious 5 1/2 quarters.
No, 5 1/4.
5 1/4. 5 1/4.
Yeah.
100 grand candy bar, which I've never had, and of course we got
None
a
of
little
us have had it,
shoe.
Nico. We didn't get to 100 grand. We're all just an empty wrapper.
No, don't make me cry. Don't make me cry.
Greg just got philosophical on the meme review.
I'm just that just made me very sad. And a shoe fixer non-scruncher upper thingy. Anyways, guys, we want to know, do you agree with our scores? Do you disagree? Let us know down in the comment section. And of course, subscribe to us on alternative video platforms because we say things that piss off people in high places, central banks, like rumble.com, and our personal favorite, bitcointv.com. They don't censor there because it's Bitcoin TV. And join our Telegram group. Link us some Bitcoin memes to review because of Bitcoin meme review, and we need links to review. No, not links. Bitcoin memes to review. Anyways, Phil, it's time for the Daily News. The Daily News is brought to you by cryptocloaks.com. They make the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch. Look, it unscrews. You can put your favorite hardware wallet in there. Or the 3D printed honey badger opens up. Also put your hardware wallet in there. Very cool stuff. All 3D printed, awesome 3D printed Bitcoin merch. And you can take advantage of the link down below for 5% off cryptocloaks.com. All right, everybody, check out this awesome video from Max Kaiser. This is the geothermal electricity plant thing in El Salvador, the one that powers the Bitcoin miners. Let's check it out. Max actually went to go visit it. Let's check out his videos. Very cool stuff. All right, let's move to the next one where they actually open up the container of the Bitcoin miners. Let's check it out. Oh, you hear that sound?
Yeah, you hear the horns.
Beautiful sound. The beautiful sound.
Awesome. I'm getting upset, actually, and I'll talk about that in a second.
Dude.
Cable management?
No, not the cable management. I noticed like 12 units that are at faulted and need rebooting.
Yep, you got that right.
You're like, damn that.
I was like, they are missing out on some hash here. Like, I get that the electricity is free from the volcano, even though it's inactive, Steve Hanke.
No, we're gonna get to that in a second. But anyways, listen, they're all WhatsApp miners. They're none. I didn't see any ant miners in there, so very interesting choice by El Salvador. But yeah, man, super freaking cool that whole plant. But I also want to point out, that they overhyped the fuck out of this because that's not that many miners. Okay, it's not that many miners. So like, maybe they have multiple containers. It looks like they have one container. And I also want to point out is that usually when you have very large mining operations, cable management is a lot more organized, and they don't just buy racks that you could just buy at Home Depot and put together. So, you know how it is. We like to be fair in our reporting. Maybe this is a little overhyped. Maybe there's more containers with more miners. I think it's bullish that it's a country doing this. The fact that it's a country that's mining Bitcoin, I think, is like historic. But it's not that many miners, and those aren't the latest and greatest either. Those are the X19s that just came out by Bitmain. Like, the S19s are a lot more powerful, especially the S19 XP. And I didn't see any of those there. And what Greg said, a bunch of them needed to be rebooted because they had the little red light on. So I think I was just caught up because of the noise, and that noise completely distracts me, and it turns me into a little giddy kid, like, oh my God. But yeah, man. Greg, what do you think? Is this a little bit of is this a marketing ploy? What's going on here?
I mean, of course, if they're bootstrapping this whole thing, I mean, he's going to play with marketing a little bit, you know, just to get some more interest than he otherwise would. But yeah, we'll see. Like anything else that's going to take a decade or more to mature, I don't know. They just started doing this. Let them do it for a while, see what they do. Then hit him with the judgment, you know?
Yeah.
I'm glad they got the machines up and running. I hope he reboots. Hope they reboot the ones that need rebooting. And I think Max will probably help him out landing a few more crates down there.
I completely agree, and I also there was Samson Mao in the first video. If you guys didn't,
Samson's down there too.
So Blockstream definitely has the capital behind it. That's for sure, to say the least. Anyways, Phil, what are your thoughts on all this?
So I mean, look, I know that they only showed one crate, you know, but I think it's important to point out that the volcano is inactive. Had it have been active, they would have been able to power so many more miners. I mean, Steve Hanke pointed it out best. So I think we should just, take this with a grain of salt.
Speaking of this, which is what I was going to get to, and you and Greg beat me to the punch, so might as well just transition to it already.
To make fun of him.
Today, we are going to cover Steve Hanke, the Panky, on the news, and we're going to cover the whole debacle that happened. So this was Steve Hanke, and he essentially says, Nayib Bukele's proposed Bitcoin city is as prepared as Florida is for snow. The advertised power source for the city is an inactive volcano. This is just more attention-grabbing antics from a narcissistic president who is full of hot air. This guy, of course, is an inactive volcano, you idiot. Most geothermal power is extracted from wells near inactive volcanoes. Why would you build a city below an active volcano? And moving on to the next tweet.
No. Before you move on to the next tweet, right? So I'm imagining him right here. He's look at this. I mean, look at the wording here. He's all messed up. So he's sitting by his fireplace right now. He's a professor at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, and it's snowing up there. So this guy's got snow on the mind. Oh, leave it back up so I can read it. Right? So he's out there. He's like, this is just for snow, right? He's looking out his window. He's a little effed up. He's going, hey, proposed Bitcoin city is prepared as Florida for snow. I'm up here in Baltimore. Advertised power source for the city is an inactive volcano. And then he's like looking over at the fireplace. It's full of hot air. That's probably like a volcano.
Absolutely.
The internet's gonna love this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna
so
put
witty.
I'm gonna put it together tomorrow. I'm gonna find a picture of an old man next to that fireplace. I'm gonna put Steve Hanke's face on it.
Absolutely.
You know it's Steve. It's Steve. No, it's simply Bitcoin. That's what it is. Anyways, moving on to the next tweet. Then Steve Hanke got a little angry and he said, "How much energy can you extract from the inactive Chonga volcano?" He wanted to sound smart. He definitely looked this up. He was like, okay, I gotta look this up. Anyways.
We're actually mining this.
Where's the feasibility study? El Salvador already has an enormous energy deficit. It imports 22% of its electricity using the IEA, and that is the international. See, this is where he's trying to plug it in, right? He's like, you need the IMF, you need the IEA, you need all these international things that aren't really international. They're really the U.S. But anyways, without
a volcano go burr.
Without a feasibility study, no one knows how Bitcoin City will affect this deficit. Ooh, I'm Steve Hanke. I'm so smart. Then Nayib Bukele responded. He says, okay, IDT10. I'm going to school ID10T. I'm going to school you again, not because it's going to be of use for you since you're just getting paid to attack Bitcoin. So I looked that up because I found that really interesting, right? So I looked a little bit into Steve Hanke, right? And he works for the Cato Institute, right? Steve Hanke is a professor of applied economics and founder of the co-director Institute for Applied Economics, Global Health, and the Study of Business Enterprise at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. He is director of the Troubled Currencies Project, how ironic, at the Cato Institute, and a senior fellow at Cato's, check this out, Center for Monetary and Financial Alternatives. How ironic is this? Anyway, so I looked into a little bit of that. There's a picture of the US dollar as soon as you click it. Center for Monetary and Financial Alternatives. Right, this Center for Monetary and Financial Alternatives is dedicated to revealing the shortcomings of today's centralized bureaucratic and Phil, what's that word?
Discretionary.
Thank you. Monetary and financial regulatory systems, and to identifying, studying, and promoting alternatives more conducive to a stable, flourishing, and free society. You can't make this shit up. This is 100% real. You can check the link down below. This is actually actually what he's supposedly representing, and it literally says the shortcomings of today's centralized bureaucratic, and that word that I can't say, monetary and financial regulatory systems. Anyways, the center engages with policymakers, academics, students, and the public through original research, public policy analysis, educational events, multimedia resources, and its blog. So I did a little bit more digging, right?
Oh.
He's a LARP.
Who are the backers of this? Who are the backers of the Cato Institute, right? So we got former Barclays Capital executive, right, a bank, Peter Gutteler, whatever, is the current president and CEO of the Cato Institute. The Cato Institute has received funding from a number of right-of-center organizations, including the Donors Capital Fund, the Lind Harry Bradley Foundation, the Charles Koch Charitable Foundation. The Institute also received funding from a number of left-wing organizations. Now, this is the interesting part. Remember what I told you guys about the VCs and the shitcoins, okay? The Gilderfin, the Walton Family Foundation, Google, and Facebook. Do you guys remember when we covered this a couple months ago? Why Facebook is piloting a fee-free money transfer service. The trial marks the technology company's first foray into the multi-billion-dollar global money transfer business. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, is piloting a free money transfer service through its Novi digital wallet that allows users in the U.S. and Guatemala to send money to each other, marking the technology's company first foray into the multi-billion-dollar global remittance market. So one of Cato Institute's primary people that donate money is a competitor of Bitcoin, Facebook. We actually covered this when this came out, right? It's a very, very shady stuff from Steve Hanke the Panky. But anyways, Nayib Bukele just goes on to slay him. El Salvador doesn't have an energy deficit. In fact, we can produce twice the energy that we consume. Maximum energy consumption in El Salvador is 1,030 megawatts, while the installed capacity is able to produce 2,065 megawatts from these sources. Right, this is hydro, geothermal, indigenous, solar. The reason we still import energy is because we are part of a regional open market, and energy producers in other countries still beat some of our producers in price. At the beginning of my presidency, we started construction of a natural gas power plant by a private consortium. It's a $1 billion project that will generate 380 megawatts of electricity. With this, instead of importing energy, we will export it at the same time. The plant will start producing energy this May. You can Google, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, long story short, Nayib Bukele absolutely slays him. And by pointing out that Steve Hanke is paid to attack Bitcoin, led me down the road of doing a little bit of investigation. And one of the Cato Institute's biggest donors is Facebook. And we know that Facebook is launching their own type of shitcoin, of which they already started piloting it in Guatemala, Guatemala is also a country that heavily relies on remittances that could tremendously benefit from Bitcoin, an open monetary network that has no ruler, has no ruling party, right? So, you know, it's kind of a conflict of interest there, and you could kind of see why Steve Hanke came out of his cave and is like, Bitcoin bad. And I just want to point something else out, right, is that before Bitcoin became legal tender, Steve Hanke didn't give two fucks about El Salvador. All of a sudden, when Bitcoin became legal tender, he came out of his cave and he's essentially pointing out all the cons possible, but completely ignoring the fact, even going as far as to lying, that Bitcoin already, not Bitcoin the commodity, just the Bitcoin rails, what Strike is doing, is actually saving the people of El Salvador millions of dollars in remittances alone, because Western Union and those old school legacy system remittance companies charge up to 20%, right? So if you were to send $100 to your family member in El Salvador, they're really getting 80%. They're really only getting 80 of that $100. Now with Bitcoin, with Strike, and with Chivo, and all these other apps, you know, they're paying pennies, on like literally pennies, to send that $100. So Steve Hanke completely conveniently leaves that out of the conversation completely, and he's just attacking. And then when Nayib Bukele rebuttals successfully, Steve Hanke just pivots and tries something else to try to exploit. But because of social media, right, and because of the advent of social media, what we're seeing is the politicians and people that actually have truthful information completely circumventing the gatekeepers of information, and they're going directly to the people. We saw that recently with Joe Rogan and the Dr. Malone episode, which was the most watched podcast ever, 50 million listens and views. If you were to listen to the mainstream media, they're saying that's false information, that's fake news. But because of the internet, it allows people to go directly to the source, circumvent the gatekeepers of information, circumvent the elites that this information, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's the truth about what's happening in the world right now, is inconvenient to their power. And I see Steve Hanke as one of their foot soldiers trying to sell a narrative that isn't true to keep the hegemony of the dollar, the slavery system that excludes millions of people all around the world from any type of banking network, right? And he's trying to sell fake news to people to make them think that Bitcoin is this evil, inefficient, exclusive monetary system, when in reality he's projecting what the dollar is itself. Phil?
Man, that was excellent research, by the way. I love the way that you pulled those, pulled the strings together, right, to show where some of that, where that money is coming from. I also ended up doing some research today because I saw that tweet as well, and I was looking for any type of news really prior to 2021, where we could see Steve Hanke, being such a champion of the El Salvadorian people. Because, right now he's really looking out for their best interest. And I just find it remarkable that prior to Bitcoin, nobody seemed to, like you said, care what was going on over there in that country, regardless of their monetary policy. And now it just seems like, people like Steve Hanke are just taking special interest, and it's absolutely pathetic. And it just shows that they are really afraid. Now, going back to what you said about that, because it does tie into this, okay? That podcast with Dr. Robert Malone, right? There's a lot of work being done by the corporate-owned media to discredit what he was saying, okay? And the only point, and this is the one thing that people should take away from this, okay? As you said, he's one of the main people that developed that mRNA vaccine. But I think the key takeaway is this: the one point that the mainstream media focused on was the mass formation psychosis point, right? Which he's not, he's not a therapist or a psychologist or anything like that. So that they were only able to pick at that point. But really, what he was outlining is mass hysteria. Okay, and that is more than likely exactly what he was referring to. But keep in mind, that is the only point that the mainstream media was able to dismantle. Okay, that's kind of, don't get me wrong, but that should be a huge red flag. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to go back and forth, but just to finish up with Steve Hanke, look, right now, if we zoom out and we look at this from a big picture point, what does it look like? He's helping the president of El Salvador sharpen his sword. He's helping the president of El Salvador prove his case, why Bitcoin is doing what he said it would do, and he's forcing him to show the results of what Bitcoin is doing. So he's actually shooting himself in the foot.
Well, and tie this in with what you were saying. The mainstream, I hate calling them that, the legacy media, the legacy corporate media is actually doing the same thing by saying, listen, there's nothing to see here. They're causing the Streisand effect, and people are actually looking, okay, I'm just going to go see for myself and listen to this podcast for myself, right? Don't listen to that because that podcast is fake news. And I suspect what that caused is that podcast is now the most listened to podcast ever. 50 million listens. That is absolutely insane, right? So they're having the exact opposite of the intended effect that they're trying to do, which is don't look over here. I suspect it's the same with Steve Hanke. He's calling fire and people are just actually going and looking for themselves. And I think this goes to the legacy media and Steve Hanke. They grew up in an era where they were the only sources of information. Think about it. Back in the day, you know, you turned on your television channel, there was only, you know, 50, 30, 20 amount of television channels in and so think about it. That they were able to get away with those lies because there was no other way to check other various forms of information. But now the internet has completely disintermediated that and has allowed people to talk directly with each other in mass, right? So that's why they're having so much trouble, and that's why they're censoring so much to try to stop the signal. And then you add Bitcoin in the mix, which allows people to transact with each other freely, you know, along millions of miles away from each other, millions of people without knowing their names, their background. You could transact with each other. You could send Bitcoin, right? It just pours gas into the fire that was already there. And that's all the chaos that we're currently experiencing. Anyways, Greg, you want to tie this up? Do you have any observations on Steve Hanke, the financial vampire that sucks souls out of little children? That's a joke, by the way.
It's not souls.
That's awful.
Your research made me think about a threat vector or shitcoin vector that goes kind of unspoken a lot. It's that you know, you see Google and Facebook as some of Hanke's sponsors at the Cato Institute, and if you think of corporations and their subsequent social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Google, YouTube, whatever, LinkedIn. If you think of them more as operationally as a country, you know, Facebook's got over 1 billion users. It's a 1 billion person country. So of course they're getting involved in money. And of course they're funding guys like Steve Hanke and just doing experiments on, you know, doing remittance payments because they know it's the biggest economy in the world, money. It's half of every transaction that ever happens. So it makes sense to me that a platform like a Facebook or a LinkedIn is going to exert further control and monetize that further control of their user base with something like a currency. It's just another shitcoin. So I mean, it's just like in El Salvador, right? You have this open network that is already doing what you needed to do, and all Facebook and Microsoft and Twitter or anybody else needs to do to access that open protocol and instantly become interoperable with the open monetary system is open yourself up to the open monetary system, either base layer Bitcoin or Lightning. This is all intranets. These people are building intranets when the internet is developing around them. I mean, it's just a waste of money. Sorry, guys.
Absolutely. Completely agree. But the way they see it is like, why can't we have our own internet? You know, and all the power that comes with that, you know, that's like Zuckerberg's wet dream. You know, he essentially owns a large portion of the world's ability to connect with one each other, you know, through WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. Now it's called Meta. It's fucking weird.
Those who don't study the past are doomed to repeat it. It looks like Zuckerberg didn't learn his lesson about the open internet.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, and Zuckerberg and a lot of these VCs, they want to play God. They want to be the ones in control, but they haven't realized that what has gone wrong with the money over and over again is that human beings have their hands in the monetary policy. And even if it starts with the best intentions and the most moral and golden ethics and all that good stuff, over the decades, it starts to be corrupted. And then you find yourself in the situation we are today. What Bitcoin has figured out is to take the monetary policy out of the hands of humans, to have rules without rulers, and that is what Nayib Bukele put his bet on, and that's why he's going to win. To borrow what the great Jack Mahler says, open systems always be closed systems. But anyways, Phil, it's time for... No, it's not. There was an open source software release today. Want to tell everybody about it?
Software releases. The software releases are brought to you by CipherSafe. Check them out, cyphersafe.io. Normally, I show you guys the Cypher wheel. I just received this weekend my Cypher grid. Take a look at that. And it also comes with the punch pen and the tamper-resistant wire. The link is down below. All right, we've got Mercury Wallet version 0.5.6 that was released. It's down below in the show notes. Guys, you know the drill. Monday through Saturday, rain or shine, we are going to post unless we tell you different. And you can find all of our audio-only episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. Before we go, I want to give a very special shout out to a dear friend of the show and a meme legend, Greg Zag. You can go follow him on Twitter at GregZag1. He is a Bitcoiner, a memer, and you could definitely go visit his merch store, mfmerch.com, and definitely go check out his legendary podcast. He's had Michael Saylor on. He's had Jack Mahlers. Absolutely hilarious. Yellow is in there as well. You can go find it on YouTube at Meme Factory TM and also on Bitcoin TV. Anyways, that was a show, guys. If you enjoyed the show...
Bitcoin TV is the only place that has our ad reads.
Ooh, Bitcoin TV exclusive. Yes, guys, if you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic fails from the people that sell fart NFTs and the Bitcoin news from the people-led perspective, definitely consider subscribing. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin.
We're just empty 100 grand rappers in a world of chocolate bars.